Jess here, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this week's reading vlog. So it is officially April, which means I have a fresh slate of books that I want to get to. I'm going to try something a little different and see if I can't focus on my Phase 10 TBR and get that out of the way before I dive into the rest of my TBR. We'll see how it goes. If you've watched my TBR game, you know that I had a lot of the choice taken out of my hands. It was a very, very chaotic game. But I think I have a nice little group of books to read from. I want to mention that this is the only rollover I have from March, which is Demon Copperhead. I'm 130 pages in, so I hope to get through this in relatively short fashion. The other note I have is that I started Pros and Cons last night. I don't know if this is on my Phase 10 TBR. I don't think so. But I was looking for something quick and easy to read after I had finished The Women, because that was really, really heavy. And this felt like it was going to be light and fluffy, and I just wanted something that took very little brain power. So I'm only on page 60, don't really have many thoughts yet, but this is the second in the Magical Bookshop Mystery Series. I enjoyed the first one, so we'll see if I can enjoy the second one as well. Other than that, like I said, I don't have many plans. I do plan to sprint a lot because I'm trying to get caught up on editing and stay on top of my reading, and I've found that sprints help me do that at least this past week. So we'll see how it goes, but I think that's going to be the main kickoff of this vlog. Like I said, I don't really know what I'm reading this week. I only have one readathon I'm taking part in, and I plan to do that like maybe over a weekend or something, where I read the 4 books that are on that TBR, so I don't have any concrete plans with that yet. It is really weird sitting here knowing I basically only have the one readathon, and it's a relatively simple one. So we're going to see how it goes, and we're going to see if I can get through my TBR and kind of catch up on some of my rollovers and stuff like that so that I can be in a really good place for May, where I'm assuming we're going to have another round of the final book support group, and of course, phase 4 of Phase Out Your TBR. So we're going to see how it goes, and I will check back in with you soon, hopefully having read a lot of books. So it is Monday, and I haven't checked in once. It's been a very long week. I've done a lot of reading sprints, and I just kind of forgot to check in. It didn't help that I only changed my calendar over today, which definitely played a factor in me forgetting that I needed to check in because I hadn't. But I've had a very, very successful reading week, so let me run you through what I've read. First up, I finished The Nameless Witch. This is the second book in the Devouring Wolf series, and it follows Riley, who is the child of a werewolf. And in this world, around your 9th to 12th birthday, during a full moon, you will transform. And in the first book, Riley and several other members of their pack don't end up transforming, and they have to figure out why and deal with the consequences and the fallout of that. And then this book is the fallout of everything that happened in that book, and I can't really get into the details of this one too much, But they are dealing with a witch in this one, and witches and werewolves don't get along, and it creates a lot of drama for Riley and her friends. I gave this 4.5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this. I really liked getting to see Riley and her friends and how they have evolved from the first book. I like the way the fallout of the first book also plays a major factor into this book and the way things go down in this one. I like getting to learn more about, like, the universe with, like, getting to learn about witches. I thought that was a very interesting peek into a different kind of supernatural being that exists in Riley's world. This was just a really, really solid sequel and makes me very hopeful for the next book in the series. Then I read Pros and Cons, and I gave this 4 stars. So this is a cozy mystery series, and we're following Violet, who had left her hometown years ago with some drama, and her grandmother Daisy ends up kind of tricking her into coming back home, and once there, explains to her that the store is magic and she needs to kind of inherit this magic. And also, before Violet can leave, in the first book, her grandmother gets accused of a murder, becomes like a suspect in a murder, so she stays to make sure her grandmother is okay. In this one, they're dealing with the annual food and wine festival, and they're having a local writing group give readings of Edgar Allan Poe's work, and unfortunately one of the writers ends up being found dead during the event in their shop, and they end up getting drawn into the investigation. I thought this was another solid follow-up. I like the mystery. I really like Violet and her grandmother's relationship. I think it is quite interesting. I loved learning a little bit more about the magic in this world with the magical bookshop that Violet and Daisy own. I liked getting to know some of the side characters a little bit more that are going to be prevalent throughout the series. I thought the mystery was decent, not my favorite, but not bad. And I'm definitely still invested in this series and will definitely be continuing it at some point in the future. I think next month. I think that's the plan at the moment. So this is definitely a good, solid, cozy mystery series that is continuing to head in the right direction. Then I finished Brian's Return. So this is the 4th book in Brian's saga, and I gave this 4 stars. This sees Brian try to return to the wilderness. In the first book, we follow Brian when he's on a small plane and it crashes and he has to survive on his own in the wilderness. And in this one, he's returning because he fell in love with being in the wild. I thought this one lacked a little bit of the kind of drama that we've seen in the other books, and some of the really, like, I feel like I'm standing next to Brian scenes that I really, really enjoyed in the last one. But I thought it made perfect sense for Brian. I thought there were some really good scenes that felt very true to character for who Brian is and the events he's been on in the first 3 books. And I liked how it kind of incorporated the entire series as a whole. I'm very, very curious to see what the last book ends up being, given that this one was supposed to be the original end, which I can kind of see given how it was written, but I'm very, very curious to see what happens in the actual end of the series and how Brian's story kind of wraps up. So very happy to have read this and made some more progress in this series. Then I finished the 4th suit and I gave this 4.5 stars. This is the final book in the Magic Misfits series, so I can check that off of my list. This follows a group of kids who are really into magic and are dealing with some unsavory characters in the town of Mineral Wells where they live, and we're seeing them kind of battle those outside forces. I thought that the ending was just so many twists and turns I didn't see coming. Well, I saw one thing. I didn't see... There was a big reveal at the end, and I was like, wait, what? So they got me in the end. I really like the bond these kids have and the found family aspects of this group of kids. I still think it's really cool that they include magic tricks in this, because that, just as a kid who loved magic, kind of geeks me out. I will say that, is it Ridley? Ridley is our POV in this one. We've had a different POV in each of the books, and Ridley isn't my favorite POV through the series. Her head isn't always the most fun place to be, and I think that brought down my rating a little, but overall, I really enjoyed Ridley's journey through this and how it tied into the conclusion of the story, And I just thought this was a very well done middle grade series that got stronger as we went on. And I think that Neil Patrick Harris wrote a fantastic story that incorporates a lot of heart and a lot of family with a magical element that is really fun for kids and middle grade readers. So this is definitely going to be a series that I pass on to one of the little ones in my life. I'm actually considering getting it for one of their birthdays this year, so we'll see. Then I read Ghosts in Graveyards, and this is a 24-page novella in the Granny Apple series, and I gave this 4.25 stars. Now, keep in mind, this is suggestive. It's 24 pages. You can't get much for this, but in this series, we're following Emma, who has the ability to see and hear ghosts, one of whom is her multiple times removed great-grandma, Granny Apples. And in this one, I don't really want to say what they're doing because it's only 24 pages, but there is a ghost who needs Emma's help, and she sets out to do just that and help this ghost. So I really enjoyed the story of this one. I liked the character development we got in this one, even though it was 24 pages. It was a really quick read. And I think everything really made sense in the greater context of the series. This leaves me with one novella left that came out this year. I believe this year. And it's a Christmas one, so I'm not planning on reading that till December. But I do hope we get another full-length mystery in this series because I really do enjoy it. And I enjoy the antics between Emma and Granny. Then I read Cat and Gamer Volume 4, and I gave this 5 stars. I love this. So this is a series about a woman who ends up adopting a cat. And she knows nothing about cats. Like, it was a kitten that was found in the parking lot at work, and for some reason she goes, I'll take it. She gets home, has no idea what she's doing, and starts equating gamer lingo to taking care of her cat because she's a big gamer. In this one, she gets a second kitten, and we see the hilarity of her applying the gaming stats to these 2 new cats, seeing the 2 cats attempt to get along and get to know one another, and how having 2 cats is affecting our main character's life. And I just thought this was an amazing story. I love these characters. I think that both of the cats, Masubi is the one that she had, and actually I'm not going to mention the other cat's name because I think you should discover it and through, but Masubi and the other cat are just hilarious. Rico and her reactions to the things that the cats do and the clever ways she equates that to gaming is just brilliant. This is definitely a favorite series of mine, and if you're looking for a quick, fun, cute manga series to read, I highly recommend this one. So it's been a very successful reading week. I do have a few more. Like, I cannot believe how many books I got through this week. I finished Sharp Ends. This is the 7th book in the First Law world, and this is a collection of short stories, so I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed some of these a lot more than others, which is usually the case with most short story collections. It was looking at all sorts of different characters all throughout the series, a lot of whom are side characters or background characters. We're revisiting characters from the first trilogy, and I thought it was really interesting to see all these different time periods and all these different characters, and to see which ones Joe Abercrombie thought to highlight in this one. I'm very excited for the last 3 books, which is another trilogy, because my favorite books have been the trilogy, so I'm hoping that the second trilogy in this universe will be really enjoyable and be something I want to sink my teeth into. And I think this was a nice way of kind of getting you excited and reminding you of all of these different characters that are part of the universe. So I thought this was a nice addition to the series, though again, not my favorite because I don't love all of the short stories. Then I read Muffin But the Truth, and I gave this 3.75 stars. So this is the 16th book in the Bake Shop Mystery series. And in this we follow Jules, who in the first book was working on a cruise ship with her husband Carlos and ends up going home to a bake shop that her mom owns because she and Carlos are having some issues, and she starts helping her mom run this bake shop and ends up staying. In this one, Jules and her staff at the bake shop will be hosting an executive team for like a getaway retreat, and one of the team members ends up dead, and Jules gets involved with investigating this murder. This was not my favorite case. I was not massively interested in the case that was going on. It had a little bit too much Carlos for me. I don't particularly like Carlos, so that definitely brought my rating down. It was not my favorite in the series. I did like some of the background pieces with the members of Jules's bake shop and the employees there, and seeing their stories develop, because that is always very interesting to me, and I'm very attached to them. I absolutely love some of the scenes with her and Lance. Their friendship is amazing, and I absolutely adore it. And this is a series I will continue to read. Not all of the books are going to click for me. This was one that was on the lower end side, but it is still a very good series. It was a solid book and a solid addition to the series. It just wasn't my favorite. And then the last book I finished is The Mysteries of the Universe, and I gave this 4 stars. So this is a middle grade book that is all about like space, our solar system and space in general. And it has like some really amazing pictures. A really good shot of Jupiter's eye. Let's see. Really pretty comments. So there's tons of really beautiful pictures in here, and they're legitimately pictures. I feel like this is a book that the more you read it, the more you'll enjoy it, because the more you'll take it in. There's a lot of information that I didn't know. And I love space. I've always loved space. So I thought it was really fascinating seeing all of the different things that were chosen to be highlighted in here. And like I said, I think this is a book you could reread multiple times and retain something new every time you read it. The information isn't necessarily going to be new, but being able to like regurgitate it and share it with others, I think is, again, something that will be fresh every single time you read it. And I think you'll take away a different thing, which is such a cool idea. I definitely think I want to get this for one of the little ones in my life who really loves to learn and love space. So this is a great book for space lovers of all ages. And I thought it was a nice little read that, like I said, will be something that you can go back to multiple times throughout the years. And while that is indeed the last book I finished, I have started 2 others. So I started Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I'm on page 88, and this is reading really, really fast. We're following Nizhoni, and she is of Navajo descent, and she has the ability to see monsters. And one day a monster ends up taking her dad, and her brother Mac are going to have to find a way to get him back. I am really, really enjoying this. Like I said, it is really fast-paced. It really sucks you in very, very quickly. I'm curious as to why her family specifically has been targeted and who the people targeting her dad are. I'm curious to learn more about the monsters in her world and the powers that she has that allows her to see them. And it's gotten really, really intrigued, like where I'm at, like high stakes, and is really starting to get into the meat of the story. So I'm very excited to continue it, and this will definitely get finished next week. And then the last book I started, I can't tell you much about, and that's The World Famous 9, because this is a 5-star prediction. So you'll have to wait for my vlog for that. But I am now on page 60, so I made a little bit of progress in this today as well. I'm excited to be reading another Ben Guterson book because he has a very distinct style. And if you've read the Winter House Mysteries, you know there's lots of puzzles involved, and this feels like it's going to have the same kind of vibe. I will mention that. So I'm very excited to see if it works in this one as well as it did in the Winter House Mysteries. So I'm very excited to be diving into this. So there you have it. That's my update. It was a very, very successful reading week. I read a lot. I sprinted a lot. You should keep an eye on my channel because I'm going to be regularly doing sprints as long as my computer works. And I have a brand new computer, so there's no reason it shouldn't continue to be an extremely successful endeavor. We're building a nice little community there, and I'm really enjoying my time with everyone and getting to focus and actually get through some of my books. So very successful week all around. That being said, I'm going to wrap this vlog up here. All of my social media will be linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me space-themed emojis in honor of the mysteries of the universe. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!